I woke up with that passion. I wanted to do it. Any regret that I have is that I didn't journal all of it. I should have journaled it. It was, once in a while I'll think of it and I'll be like, oh man, I wish I would have wrote that down. Because the journey is really where the love is. I had so much fun being broken, struggling in the beginning, and just waking up with that passion and that hunger together and being able to utilize it.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 24 of the Casandra Properties podcast. We have a real treat for you today, a beautiful human being. We're joined by my good friend, Sal Criscuolo. He is one of the leaders on the home team for Freedom Mortgage. He is an entrepreneur. He is an author. He is a motivational speaker. Hopefully one day he'll be a partner of mine in one capacity or another. I'm dying to do business with this guy. He's just that kind of a human being. And as I said in the beginning, above all, he's a friend and just a wonderful, wonderful person. Sal, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, James, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. I should just leave now.
Just wrap it up.
That's it.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you for the endorsement. I approve this message. Yeah, the feeling is mutual, my brother. Very mutual. From the first time I met you, I mean, I know the history behind you, the Casandra Properties, and I've respected it all the way since I've been here on Staten Island.
Well, I appreciate
26
it.
years. Yeah, thank you.
Coming from you, that means a lot because you are really the gold standard, just as a human being. In the short time that we've really gotten to know each other on a different level, I have to say that I'm moved just about every time we speak. So, and that's just speaking from the heart. It's one of those rare, genuine people. So you do a little bit of everything, and the audience often likes to kind of take a glimpse behind the curtain and talk about, growing up, influences, and how you ended up where you are today. So let's go back, in time a bit. Was there this passion to be involved in so many things and to the public speak? You have like 57,000 followers on Instagram. I mean, you're really was this always part of your DNA, or walk us through that?
I mean, it wasn't always part of my DNA. I had to, when I was in school, I was actually left back in the 6th grade, and it was because of math. All I do, basically, most of my day is math.
Yep.
Basically with regards to my mortgage business. So having that experience at that time and those teachers in the school that I was at, and watching my mother, who was basically a single mom, she would work. And wherever she worked, I worked. She worked in a fabric store, I vacuumed the fabric store. Mm-hmm. She worked in a funeral home, I vacuumed the funeral home. So she always made sure that I had that respect for money and waking up early in the morning and earning a good wage. I did fall into different crowds when I was younger, and believe it or not, I think that's where I've learned most of my lessons.
Yep.
Able to see people for who they really are, and learn. I learned to not judge people. Nobody has business judging anyone until they're perfect, and we know how that works. Yeah. So I would have to say, I would really look. I got to look to my mom, and she was really. She was something else.
So we share that. Same thing with me. Mom, single mom, and out hustling in real estate and, anything else she could do to make ends meet. So I was also dragged around from appointment to appointment. And, it's funny when you said that, it brought back memories of her working all hours and me being in the office and doing the same thing, cleaning the desks and vacuuming and helping her, put her phones in when she made the decision to go on her own back in 1989. It really does have an impact on you.
Yeah, they were the gangsters.
No doubt.
Really, they put their time in, and what better role models. And, it actually attests to the fact of the person that you are and the legacy that you continue. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And, the love of a mother.
You don't realize it, as you're going through it. and you're kind of grumbling that you're not doing what you want to be doing, goofing off as a kid. But being a part of that, it certainly does imprint on you. I think a couple of things. I think that from a work ethic perspective, seeing Mom go at it and hustle the way she did, and seeing her struggle, whether she recognized that at a young age we recognized it or not, having an understanding of the value of money, and she was a beast. She still is. Still comes in, and slaps us around every so often at the end of the day. But
I actually know what a bar of soap tastes like. So it wasn't fake. I'm gonna put a bar of soap in your mouth. If she put a bar, I know what ivory tastes like. Ivory soap. I tell my kid, they don't believe me, but I can't knock my kid. My kids just have 3 children. I have a son and 2 daughters, and they're just so good. I tell them, why don't you be reckless once in a while? One has to get in trouble with. They're just good kids. Well, young adults now, but trying to pass the baton. So,
did you ever get the wooden spoon?
Oh yeah. I got the wooden spoon a lot. She broke a lot of wooden spoons.
Yeah, I got the wooden spoon, the backhand,
the belt. Yeah, the backhand, the belt.
It's funny as you grow up and you become an adolescent, and you and your friends are doing what you do, and you're getting into trouble. I was always, and to this day, if we're going to be honest, right, I'm still petrified of my mother. To this very day.
That's great.
Isn't it crazy how that sticks, right?
Yeah.
I'll take on anything. My mother, I'm still afraid of at 45 years old. It's remarkable.
As you should be. As you definitely should be.
So you have this experience with Mom, and your education is not exactly in sync with where you ended up in life, right? So why don't we talk through that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I actually went to Bishop Ford after I graduated St. Athanasius, which was right next door to my house. I heard the bell from my home. Bishop Ford didn't work out too well, and I ended up going to Lafayette. I went to Lafayette, and I was just in and out. I got a call from my uncle from Seattle, Washington, and if you think I did a lot of stuff, wait till what I start to get to now. He got me a job at Boeing.
Wow.
I worked for Boeing temporarily for about a year, learning how to put planes together using rivets and stuff like that. I continued with school there at Everett Community College while I was there, and I was training at Boeing. I missed home a lot, and I missed my first girlfriend, who's now my wife. I was 17 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. We've been together a long time.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. We've been together a long time. I won't let my kids grow up in a single-parent household.
Yep.
In any case, I made sure she was the right one. But I missed her a lot, so I did come back after a year with some new skills and a little bit of a southern drawl at the time. I did speak a little differently. But while I was down there, I had a horse. I learned the country life, and it was just a beautiful thing. The air was unbelievable. I had an axe. I mean, when I came back, I went from being out of shape to being in pretty decent shape, and I started playing hockey, which is basically was a prelude to my life, hockey, and just learning how to get along with people, having the camaraderie through the sports. I brought that effort and that team-like spirit to everything I started doing. My problem was I thought the way I felt about people was the same way people felt about me, and you can't look at life like that because everybody has their own experiences, and you can't expect them to think how you do. It took me years to figure that out. You always want to see the best in people, especially if you have the best interests at heart for them. But you learn as you go, but you can't take that black eye and hand it off to the next person. You have to give everybody a clean slate. And as long as you do that, I think you'll do well. So I came back and I had this idea. Everybody was making money on Wall Street. I didn't know what they were doing or how they were doing it. So I said, let me go get my Series 7. Mm-hmm. Went down to Wall Street. I took a couple of classes with some crazy guy, Tony DeSico. I'll never forget his name. I saw him later on. He was acting in movies and stuff like that. Got my Series 7, 63. 24, and started a book of business. I didn't really like the way the first firm was going, so I went and I applied to Gruntle. I worked there as a clerk. I was doing underwriting. I was looking over and reviewing mortgage-backed securities. So I was actually got into the business from the back to the front.
Yep.
I was like, who's making this money on these? And they're like, well, the loan officer gets this and the bank gets this. And I was like, oh, that seems like a profitable business. I think I could do that. I had a friend who had a call center in Brooklyn. I asked him if he's selling daily news subscriptions. I asked him if he can turn it on for mortgages and that I would split it with him, whatever he did. He had a room full of people. And the first night we turned the machines on, I got an application. It was Brothers. It was actually the owner of one of the Brothers Pizza on Staten Island on Page Avenue. The father, Vincent, I think was his name. You don't forget your first deal. And that's just where it started. You didn't need a license or anything back then. I started with that. I built up a nice book of business with referrals. All at the same time, I started building a family. When the family comes, all of a sudden you put your head down and you're starting to work. Those extra hours. I was probably working 25 hours a day out of 24. I was waking up in the middle of the night and with ideas. So started building that business up. And all the time playing hockey. I never stopped playing hockey. It was the one thing that I didn't have to think about. It was my zen. It was just, you put the skates on and the whistle blows and you're playing. You don't think about anything. And trust me, I didn't think about anything. I would hit people. They would hit me. Scoring goals. You didn't even know what was going on. But it just takes on a life of its own, which is, once again, where the camaraderie kept coming in. And I'm friends and I still play with the same kids, I'll call them, that I played with back then. So to continue on, because I'll keep continuing, James. This will keep going. So to continue on, while I was on Wall Street and making that transition to mortgages, I opened up a sandwich shop. My mom made the best meatballs in the neighborhood. So I'm like, let's sell my mom's meatballs. And I said, Mom, I want to sell you meatballs. Can you make them? She's like, because my friends used to come over to the house. They would always talk about my mother's meatballs, rice balls. So I opened up a sandwich shop with a friend of mine on 61st Street and 20th Avenue called S&G Sandwich Shop. And when I tell you, we had lines around the corner.
Really?
Yeah. I would close the gates down at 3 o'clock and skate to the park, 18th Avenue Park, and we'd go and we'd play hockey until it got dark out because I had to play hockey. I wouldn't stay open until 5. I refused to. I told my partner, "You want to do it? You do it. I'm going to play hockey." And the sandwich shop was doing well. I subsequently sold it because the food service business, I didn't see it for me.
Yep.
But Chuck Scarborough put us on the map. I believe he was on Channel 4 at the time. If he's still on Channel 4, I don't know. But he came in, he had a corned beef or a pastrami sandwich, and he talked about it on the news.
You're kidding me.
Who does that? Yeah. Yeah, he talked about it on the news. He goes, I heard about this place, and I went down there. We were open a short period. But when the guy came to give us an offer on the place, he knew that, and he saw all of that, and he was just like, I'm going to ride the coattails of this thing. And I was like, go right ahead. Here's my mother's recipe, too. If you want her, she'll rent her out. She'll make the meatballs for you. So we sold it at that point, and that's when I jumped into full mortgage mode. And at that time, I was starting to dwell on all the ideas on how to grow the business, and went from telemarketing to starting to network. I saw that I had a great niche in the networking arena, and that I could, if I met people and spoke to them and got them past my look, that I can probably do a little bit better. I guess I had a look that wasn't approachable back then when I had hair, a full head of hair. And I had still the Brooklyn drawl. Even old friends of mine, when I see them and I run into them, they're like, you talk differently. And I'm like, I don't talk differently,
So I just want to pause for a minute because we covered a lot of ground there.
I could have some water.
So it's interesting that for you it's hockey, but people like us we're always on, right? Wake up in the middle of the night, ideas, hard time falling asleep, ideas, wake up first thing in the morning, ideas. We're always going, and that while that's great in some regards and it's productive, it also can be debilitating because you don't get that time to check out. Yet, if you hit on your Zen, as you referred to it, it washes away completely. For me, it's fly fishing. And I could be, I'm manic most hours of the day, right? I'm constantly going, constantly thinking, and I hit the water, and it just, hours can burn off the clock, and I won't even be cognizant of how much time has passed, because for whatever reason, when you hit that Zen, again, as you described it, and we need that badly. Right?
We'll lose our mind.
We'll lose our mind. So I thought that was interesting that for you it's hockey. And before we really dive into the mortgage stuff, you had mentioned mortgage-backed securities.
I want to know more about fly fishing, James. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, let's go. I love it.
I'm not even kidding. I love fishing. Mm-hmm. And once again, that's definitely a great place. I don't find the time really these days to fish anymore, but when I was younger, my mom used to take me fishing, so she gave me that love. I wish my kids had a little bit of it. But so give me a little bit of the fly fishing. What's the little technique?
Sure. So for me, the reason I'm drawn to it is I think the challenge, right? Fly fishing is certainly, one would argue, the most difficult, which of course is in my personality. We've got to do the most difficult way of doing it. But there is a beauty that comes along with reading the water and identifying the proper season, taking the rocks out from the stream, seeing which bugs are hatching, trying to match, I call it match the hatch, match that to what's in your box, what's hatching above water, what's going on subsurface at that particular time. A trout basically just will sit there and we'll watch, millions of bugs fly by. It's nose all day long, right? They're washing by. So they will pick out the small, when I tell you the smallest detail, you could have a fly, a size 20 fly, like this, tiny fly. And if you have, a cream thread on the belly of one and a green thread on the belly of another, you could throw that cream belly past that fly 100 times, past that trout 100 times, it'll never touch it. If you put the green thread, right, and that happens to match what's happening subsurface at that time, you'll get the strike right away. So there's an art to reading the stream and identifying the pockets of water where the trout is feeding at that point in time, being able to identify through which season it is. Are they going to be up in the rifts? Are they going to be laying back behind a rock? Are they feeding subsurface? Are they feeding, up on the top? And there's just a beauty to it. For me, when you look at nature, and I don't want to get into religion, but for me, Mother Nature is what solidified there's a higher being, right? It is so perfect, and there are so many symbiotic relationships, and there are so many things that I've observed in nature where, you go, this all can't just be happenstance, right? Yep. I mean, so I just love being out, with my feet in the water, and I don't know, there's something so therapeutic about it. So I started to get into tying flies, right? Where I don't know if there's anything more rewarding outside of course, family than, sourcing the materials and actually tying the fly and then getting out on the water and catching a beautiful trout on something that you tied that has to be so precise. Yeah. We do a lot of fishing up in the Delaware because they're natural. The stockies are easy to catch or easier. But these natural fish that are just their whole life is just identifying.
They're just smart. Wow,
something's just not right about this thing. Something really rewarding about it.
That's my new thing that I learned today.
Yeah,
that's a smart fish. I mean,
it is a smart
obviously,
fish.
It's a smart fish. You got to respect the fish. You have to respect the fish.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the book. I forgot the name of the book. Man and the Fish. The Old Man and the Fish. And it was a movie, and there was a quote. They were like, well, they respected each other, the man and the fish. Well, why did the man catch the fish and kill it? And he said, well, the man got to be a man, and the fish got to be the fish. And it's so true. I don't know if you catch and release or not, but it's a beautiful thing, just the nature. And I'm getting zen. When you were just talking about it, I was picturing the different colors and the foliage and everything that must be around there. And I'm glad I asked you more about it.
There's nothing like that moment when you release the trout back in. It really is a biblical experience for me. Whenever I don't get out often enough, but when I do, it's something I really, really enjoy. So I thought that was interesting. For you, it's hockey, and for me, it's fishing. But we have to have those things. Mortgage-backed securities. The audience, a large portion of the audience, won't know what that is. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Mortgage-backed securities are basically the credit package. I would say the credit package and all the documents that go into the mortgage. There are a lot of different instruments. Once a mortgage is recorded, whether it be the deed, the note, the consolidation, extension, modification agreement, whatever it may be, it's a big package. And it gets quality controlled from the loan officer to the process to the underwriter to bank management, and then bank management to the secondary market. The secondary market is basically where your mortgage is bought and sold and traded. It's just like a security would be traded.
So these are the notices we get. Your bank loan has been sold.
Yes,
your loan has been sold, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So they're selling the paper.
Yep.
They're securitizing it and selling it on the market.
They're grading it. So that what we would do, we would grade the paper. So just like in school, you grade A, B, C, D. So the more time that lapses, the more obviously you have of a history of that mortgage. So it's the better performing the mortgage, the higher the grade, or the better the credit score, the higher the grade. The higher the income and credit score, the higher the grade. So we had our different buckets that we'd grade them into, and we would just make sure everything led up to what it had to lead up to. These days, there's a lot more intense documentation than back then. Back then, there wasn't even a credit report. It was a TRW. For those of you that know, I'm dating myself. I swear I'm not 50 yet. I swear. My son's 30, but I'm not 50. And so we would just basically quality control it, grade it, and make sure that everything that was supposed to be in the package was in the package. And if anything was missing, we would then backtrack it to the proper party. So it could be packaged correctly.
So then they're packaging these notes and misgraded notes is what led to such an issue back in 2008, right? So they're selling these notes. You go and you borrow, keep the number simple, $100,000 from the bank. You take a 30-year mortgage. After 30 years, you're paying back $400,000 total, right? So you're selling bundles of these at a discount to the par value, the full value plus the full interest to these bigger institutions, and essentially that's the revenue stream and that package for the next X amount of years.
Yep, correct.
Got it. And that's how the bank is then able to bring some liquidity back or lower their ratio, right, so that they're able to go out and
back to the window
and resell this again. Okay, so sorry for that interruption. I just wanted the audience to understand.
You explained that better than I could, James. I'm not even going to lie. I'm being honest. I would have spoken with a lot different words.
So you had a sandwich shop. You took your 76324. You're playing around in Wall Street. You go ahead and, again, as a true entrepreneur would, you identify a call center, and you guys start hammering the calls. Day one, you get a hit.
Yep.
And where does it take us from here?
Oh boy, I saw a big movement to Staten Island at the time. At the time, I lived in Bergen Beach. I saw a big movement to Staten Island. I wanted to move to Staten Island, and my office was on 86th Street and 15th Avenue with the call center, but all my business was in Staten Island because people from Brooklyn were moving to Staten Island. So I started marketing more in Staten Island. I met an attorney through a friend of mine, and he was doing my closings and everything. And he said, "Wow, you have good business, you have good clients. Why don't you do this yourself?" So I'm like, "Yeah, sure, great." I'm like, from the start. Let me back up a little. From the start, being on Wall Street, I saw when companies went public what they did, and at that time back then, Chemical Bank, Chase, like all of these different banks started going public, and I was like, wow, I saw an end goal there, and I was like, we can make something really, really big of this thing, at some point. And I had this grandiose idea, which I've never faulted, and I still actually have it. It just, right place, right time. We went partners. I went partners with this attorney. We got our broker's license. We came out the gate very, very strong. I mean, he was in St. Martin for a month. When he came back, the check I gave him was so big. The next day, he was on South Avenue talking to Richard Adio about leasing the first space in the building other than electrical.
Wow.
And Edward Curry, we took 10,000 square feet. We didn't want people to leave the office. We wanted to work because, it was doing so well. We put a barbershop in there. Lou from Continental, he's on Staten Island. He had a barber's chair in there. He would come. He would do that. He would cut our hair. We had a gym in there. We put a gym in. Richard Adio at the time, his people were. We allowed them to use it and everything. So we had a shower. We had lockers. We had no reason to leave the office. Once again, they gave us the spot for a great deal back then. And, the business just kept growing and growing and growing. I won't speak too much further about my partner, but, I was kind of humble through the whole thing. I don't really like the flash anymore. When you're a kid, it's great. Yeah, I wanted the brand new car or whatever, but now I'm more like, give me the one with the better gas mileage.
Right.
I don't really care. I'm not racing anyone right now. I drive an F-150. I love it. It's the best thing.
Drive a Dodge Ram, baby.
There you go, man.
That's it.
Yeah. Try throwing this in your vet. And plus, my son has a Challenger, so if I ever need a sports car, I can use this. So we created a mortgage broker. We took the brokerage company from 3 people to, at one time, I believe we had 125 employees. We had steady, constant growth. Started getting a little bit political, I would say, and I just didn't like the way it was going.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't gel, and personalities aside and people aside, I always deal with great people, but if I'm dancing and I go to the right and you go to the left, it might be a problem. You're stepping on my toes. Maybe we're not good partners for dancing. So I needed to find a new dancer. So we had an amicable split. I actually went back to where I was previous to starting this mortgage broker and taking this mortgage broker through the channels. We turned the broker into a correspondent lender. We were going to turn the correspondent lender into a banker. So we were going down that path, pretty tight. But it just wasn't a good mix for what we had as far as the partnership went.
So, a couple of things there. So, number one, you were a visionary, right? If you think about how today all the rage is having offices, right? Yeah. Pre-COVID, of course, where drop-off dry cleaner service, fitness centers, barbershop, that became the campus-style kind of office became popular in this last economic cycle. So it's a testament to you identifying that early on in your career, which just I seem to find the more and more I talk to entrepreneurs, the more and more they're hitting their marks and they don't even recognize it as they're going through the paces. On the partnership thing, people grow apart, right? As you are, becoming a young man and your value systems form and others' value systems form, that happens, right? And I could see, it took a little bit of a pause there, and I'm sure those are never easy. I went through one of them here, and I still love them to death, John. But sometimes you grow apart. Those things happen, right? Yep. Just wanted to throw that in there.
100%. Sorry.
Interrupted you again.
No, you didn't.
You're back on Wall Street. Here we go.
Back on Wall Street, slanging stock. I really liked sales. I really liked shaking hands and kissing babies. It just felt right. I felt at home, and I woke up with that passion. I wanted to do it. Any regret that I have is that I didn't journal all of it. I should have journaled it. It was, once in a while I'll think of it and I'll be, oh man, I wish I would have wrote that down, because the journey is really where the love is. I had so much fun being broke and struggling in the beginning, and just waking up with that passion and that hunger together and being able to utilize it. And there is a reward at the end when a loan closes and the people actually know that you worked hard for them. And I actually liked the harder loans. You know, loans that people would turn away, I would bring in and I would say, listen, sit down. This is how credit works. Okay? This is your credit report. You know, if you were to pay this off, you know, your score will go up, but you got to make sure, you know, and I just explained what credit was. I talked to their account. I'm like, yo, they want to buy a house. They're making $150,000 a year. You're writing it down to $5,000. They're not going to get a house that they want for that. You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too in some instances. So I would school them, and that's where all the referrals came from, because they Sal's the best. He helped me when nobody else would. And, you know, I just did it because I wanted to do it. But it just ended up, you know, it was one of those things where you do good, you get good.
You did it because you care.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Right?
I definitely do. And it's also an albatross. It really,
yeah.
It could weigh on you because sometimes you just care a little bit too much. But, you know, I don't, and I even said it to a client this morning. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. The underwriter might just see you as a number. They're looking at 60 files a day. You're 58. That's who you are. You're 58. You're not Cheryl. You're 58. I changed the name to protect the innocent just now. So I told Cheryl that. But it's true. So I'm going to give it up. They're going to hear this. I'll tell the client, send me an email stating what you just told me. I need to send that to my underwriter, and I do it all the time. If any of my underwriters are listening right now, I'm sorry, but I have to do it. You have to know what I'm going through. You know, I can't get kicked in the teeth. I take my referral partners very, very seriously. I made a business out of answering my phone Sunday night at 9 o'clock. Yep. I don't do that anymore, not on Sunday night. Sunday's my day. I know you probably have one now too, but Sunday's my day. Yep. I refuse to work on Sunday. I'll forward it to somebody else on my team. You take Saturday, I'll take Sunday. I need that day for many reasons. So where was I? So you said fly fishing, right? Mm-hmm. Can we go back? So I went back to sales because I loved sales. And at the time I started, I wrote a guide for my new loan officers. And I wanted them to know, you know, I would teach the class. I want them to have a book, a guide. So I wrote a guide, and somebody said, hey, you should publish this. I'm like, what do you mean publish it? I don't know nothing about publishing. Like, no, publish this book. Any loan officer. I'm like, all right, let me tighten it up a little bit. So I tightened it up a little bit, and I wrote a book, and I had to come up with a title. I couldn't come up with a title. I used to tell people, you got to sell yourself.
Yep.
So the name of the book was Sale of Self by Sal Criscuolo. And I self-published that book through CreateSpace, a company called CreateSpace that was online. And, the book actually sold, and I probably bought most of them at the time. But, I gave them away, signed Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers. It was an easy read. People used to call me, say, I love your book. I read it on the train. I'm like, you read the whole book on the train? They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I got to add more pages. So what I did was I kind of stopped that book, and I went and I wrote Sale of Self Volume 2. And I just added more content that I forgot to put in that book. And the book was thicker. All of it, a couple of years go by. The book was moving a little bit better than the previous book. And all of a sudden, I got letters from Barnes and Noble. I'm starting to get letters. You sold 100,000 copies. I'm getting checks in the mail.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't big checks, but they were checks. Yeah. I was making money. I did something that made money like that. Another avenue, and I was sleeping while I was making money at that time, which is really something I love to do. When you're sleeping and making money, that's a beautiful thing. I think that should be everybody's goal. So the book started selling. It sold over 500,000 copies.
Are you kidding me?
100%. Sold over 500,000 copies. Oh, please. I was all over Facebook. How did you not know?
500,000 copies?
That's why I did the next book. Yes.
Wow!
And I got an award from from Barnes and Noble once that happened. But the problem was CreateSpace took all my money. They took the lion's share. They're like, well, on your next book you make money. CreateSpace is not around anymore. They were bought by Amazon. Okay. So after I published Paying Back Dad, which was really Sale of Self Volume 3, it was supposed to be. But Paying Back Dad just sounded better because Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just thought it was a better title. Everybody around me said, let's go with that. I went to, my books were all edited by college students. I made it like their class. So I'd go to a professor, listen, why don't you edit my book? And I'll give you a free copy. And it's a great thing for a professor to teach his class how to edit using the book. So we did the third book, and that's where the public speaking came in. So they were like, would you speak about the book? So I started speaking about the book. I'm like, oh, you have a talent for this. You're a pretty funny guy. I'm like, I didn't mean to be funny. It's just, I want to keep the crowd going. Like even this podcast, it's so light in here. I would definitely watch and listen to this podcast and every other podcast that you do because you're awesome. Okay. Let everybody know out there that you're awesome. For those who don't know you, they may think you're unapproachable, but you are really an awesome person.
Thank you.
From the bottom of my heart, I'm not even kidding. You're a really good person. You're easy to be around. You're easy to talk to and easy to listen to. In any case, I'm a fan. I am. What can I say? And I do. I'll stalk your Instagram. I will. But I like your posts. And I'll try to get in there. A lot of stuff shows up on the feed, as you know.
Yep.
So it's hard. But I always try to pay it back to the people that I like and I admire and respect. Now to get backwards, you're gonna have to edit this up a little bit. I'm just saying.
No, we're just ripping, baby. You're public speaking.
That's great. I was so scared, James. My first public speaking gig was
really.
Yeah,
I would think that was natural for you.
No. I'll tell you a quick story. I had to go speak in front of like 20 people at D. Tomaso Coldwell Bankers. Mm-hmm. This was years and years ago. Frank let me come in and speak. I walked into the room. It was probably the first time I was going to public speak, but I always wanted to. I was like, this is great. But I was going to talk about mortgages, my sweet spot.
Right.
One-on-one, I didn't have a problem. I walked into the room. I couldn't stop sweating. It wasn't even hot. I couldn't stop sweating. One of the agents there, I love her for it. She got me some paper towels. She pulled me out of the room. She gave me some water. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. I can't stop sweating. I mean, I sweat all the way through home. In the shower, I sweated in the shower. I couldn't stop. I'm telling you, I was scared.
It used to happen to me too.
Oh my God. It was
pouring in sweat.
The craziest thing.
Craziest thing.
If this was back then, I'd be sweating right now.
Yes, me too.
The wet spots on the arms. But anyway, so I was petrified. And they do say that public speaking, people fear public speaking more than death. I think that's a statistic legally. I think I Googled it once. So it must be real.
Must be true.
So in any case, yeah, I was scared to death. I prepared. I got the gig actually through LinkedIn, and it was for the Mortgage Brokers Association of New York. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to recruit. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And I was listening to the public speaker before me. I was looking at public speakers. I was watching them. The best of the best. I was watching and trying to mimic, in my own way. But I got on stage and I had my slides and everything ready. The second I got up there and saw the crowd, it was my job as the keynote to kind of wake them up. I was there to kind of wake them up. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to go off script a little, and I'm just gonna shoot from the hip. That's it. I had some kind of marks. I had different marks I wanted to hit for timing or purposes. But I just went and I was myself, and I was up there maybe 5 seconds. And my biggest fear is that I was going to come across as this Brooklyn guy, this, that, the other thing. And the guy goes, "Hey, you're a funny guy." Blah, blah, blah. And he started. He was like mimicking me, like
you were getting heckled.
Not heckled. No, not heckled. He was quoting from Goodfellas, like Joe Pesci or something. So I turned around and I would never curse. Like that would be the last thing I said. I said, "Hey, here," and everybody shut up. I said, "Why don't you go get your shine box?" The curse was in the middle of it. It's online. I'll show it to you. It's online. Why don't you get your effing shine box? The crowd erupted. I'm talking. They stood up. They were clapping. It was from there smooth sailing all the way out. Not even kidding. I spoke 300 people. Not a problem. 1,200. Very close to a TED Talk, which I really wanted to do. Thanks, COVID. That's not going to happen. And that's really how I made it. I had a lot of help along the way.
And then you never had another issue with public speaking?
Never had another issue with sweating, public speaking, nothing.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. It was that point. That's when it all a switch just went off, and I don't know. One of my genes died, the sweat gene. But yeah, right then and there, I was able to overcome that fear. Man, I ran right into it. Like I said, you know what? I'm going to be me. Win, lose, or draw, and I won. And it was great. It was on video, and I loved that it was on video. And really, afterwards, I've signed books. I shook hands. I made a lot of friends. I recruited some people. It turned out very well.
So you have such a presence about you, and the presence, of course, pours through on your social media channels. And I think that that passion and that presence speaks directly to your business and your customers. You've got a 4.99 out of a possible 5 on your reviews and positive testimonials. Where does that come from? Is that just the passion? Is that, I mean, the 4.99, we're doing something here, right?
It's patience. I have patience. Yeah. You listen, I forget too. I'm guilty of it. You take one phone call to the next and you kind of carry that phone call over. No, you got to stop, wipe it clean. First-time home buyers, that's my specialty. If I'm going to be a specialist in first-time home buyers, I have to start from the beginning. Where you buying a house? How far is the store? Where are your kids going to school? The dog, this, that. It's sort of kind of what you do, to some respect. I hold their hand. Mm-hmm. You have to hold their hand. It's a scary process. It's one of their biggest investments, if not their biggest investment that they're ever going to make. I deal with young couples, and then I deal with their grandchildren. I've been in the business that long, but it's the teaching. I've tried videos. I have plenty of videos online. I'll send it to them. They'll still call me with the same questions. It doesn't matter. But I'll take the time out. I'll make the time, and then I'll hand it to my team, and I'll hand it to the people that I know are gonna handle that client with with white gloves, and they know that they can always get in touch with me if they're having any type of issues as far as the clients go. I have to spell everything out, and I tell them, stop. This isn't. You're not jumping 3 steps, 1 step at a time.
Yep.
Okay. This is our goal, right? This is where you need to be monthly, right? Okay. This is how we're going to get there. Okay, I need you to, do this, this, and this, and stop. Then we'll do this, this, and this. Stop. So I kind of walk them through the process, and the first question anybody asks, what's my rate? Oh my God. If I told you, that is the most annoying question or the worst question you could ask.
Yep.
Because
people don't understand that.
No, they don't. We're coming into a different generation.
Yep.
And they're a little more prone to do their homework, I'll say, which is going to be a good thing, especially if they're going to do it all automated online.
Yep.
Through your Rockets and whatnot, and your Quickens. Stock went from $34 to $20. I bought it somewhere around $28. Not a good thing. It's a good thing I hedged myself with options. That's another story. I'm sorry to go off topic, James.
No, there is no topic. We're just chatting.
That's right. There is no topic. I like that. And when I was leaving, I'm like, I'm going to a podcast, and I give her a little history. She goes, "Oh, what's the topic?" I'm like, That's a good one. I'm like, you know what? They didn't give me an agenda. I was like, I guess I'm just going to have to shoot from the hip. She goes, that's what you do best. I was like, thank you. They get a kick out of me. I'm telling you, I have a good subject. The pandemic. Through the pandemic, learning my family in the wild is great. And them seeing me in the wild is great. It gets a little crazy sometimes. They'll all disappear.
What do you mean in the wild? Explain.
In the wild, in my element, on the phone, yelling at underwriters.
Got it.
Processes, talking to clients, explaining things.
Yep.
One of my kids said, "Hey, Dad, you're pretty smart." Geez, wow, I didn't even know that was a word. And these are smart kids. I mean, my kids got scholarships to college. My daughter got a scholarship to my youngest. She's doing her master's program now, Homeland Security. She's not going to do anything with Homeland Security. She's an artist. She's an artist. The kid's an artist. She's in Homeland Security. They don't know when they start. She goes, Dad, I'm like, you don't even like to see blood. Like, God forbid. You're homeless. She goes, yeah, the desk. I'm like, oh, here we go. But anyway, she's such a good artist. She's, right now I took a bowl of fruit that I found that she painted, that she colored for me when she was 10 years old. I said, I want you to make this bowl of fruit now. You're 21. I want to see what the bowl of fruit will look like now. And I mean, I'll show you later on some of the pictures she's drawn. She's the kid's got, the ability of an artist to me is all in scale. You have to scale things and have a good eye for that. I don't have that. My mother did. Maybe it skipped a generation. But she's really, she's going to be the best artist in Homeland Security. I'm like, please sketches maybe. Like we can maybe work that all in together. We don't want to waste the master's degree. It'll look good in the frame, but we don't want to waste it. And God bless her. But anyway. I digress. My kids are all great. My daughter Megan is a recluse. She's very shy. She keeps to herself. She's at Paul Mitchell years back, getting her whatever they call it, a hair license. I forgot the name of it.
Beautician.
Yes, beautician. Yes, a beautician license. And she's great at it. But to be a beautician, you have to interact and have that salesiness in you.
Sure.
She doesn't have that outgoing, personality. So, she's, once again, she needs to get in her sweet spot and her passion is troubleshooting. And, she should have been the one in Homeland Security. The other one should have been the one in cosmetology and beautician. But it is what it is. And they'll come into their own. They're good. They know how to focus. And, the hardest people for us to coach, even as a public speaker or a coach, is our own families.
Yeah.
I can't coach them because I'm dad.
Yep.
Even, I play hockey with my son, and, he doesn't remember the days I was outside for hours shooting pucks and throwing balls at him and shooting pucks at him. He's a goalie. I'm a forward. So it only makes sense. And we play hockey together, but he didn't listen to me back then. He listened to me after I learned, after we started playing together hockey, because he saw, hey, I can score goals. And my thing always before a game, I'd shoot on him because I would show him that I could score on him. I didn't do too well towards the end of the years, but he's a really good goaltender. He won the championship with Farrell.
Oh, very nice.
Oh my God! And it was in a shootout.
I'm a Farrell
triple
boy.
overtime. Oh, you're a Farrell boy.
I am.
My son won triple overtime with Farrell against St. Joe's. Was it St. Joe's? Oh my God! Yeah, it was St. Joe's. He'll kill me if I got it wrong. It was St. Joe's. I think we beat Severian first. Yeah, it was St. Joe's. I'm pretty sure. And we were in triple overtime. So imagine I'm the father of the goalie.
Oh gosh.
We lose.
You're sweating again.
I'm sweating, and the rink was freezing, and I'm sweating, and I'm like 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, 4, and I'm like, oh my God. Then he let one in, and then the other goalie let one in, so it was 1 up. And when he made that last save, the team knocked him over so hard he got a concussion.
You're kidding me.
No, it was the best concussion ever. I told him, wipe it off. We'll go home. We'll put a little Robitussin on. You'll be fine.
Put a little tussin on it.
A little tussin on it.
That's it.
So we get home. It was on film. We had a party. I mean, we had a party. Then we went to Lee's Tavern for the award thing, and it was just to say I was proud is an understatement. He played hockey. I mean, I was at Princeton with him playing hockey, and it was just it was proud because I'm a hockey guy. So you see your son like that,
yep.
And it just it was a beautiful thing, and we bonded. And when we started playing hockey together, it was so weird. God forbid you hit the goalie twice with your stick. I'm sorry, the dad instinct comes out. I took penalty after penalty. Don't touch the goalie. The referee, everybody in the league knows. If you ask anyone in Fort Hamilton, they'll tell you, don't touch the goalie on Sal's team. Don't touch him. It gets messy. You have children. If somebody touches your child, it doesn't matter where they are.
It's on.
I don't care. You hit them. You won too many times. And I actually had more respect for goalies after that as well. I used to run goalies all the time when I was a kid. One of your producers over here, we were talking about it before, so he could attest to the fact.
You got the Brooklyn Connect.
Yes, we got the Brooklyn Connect
over there on the 1s and 2s.
Yeah, he skated on the same tar with the sewer cap in the middle of the rink. But yeah, it's just a father instinct came out. But we bonded, and I'd go home. My wife was like, what happened? I was like, he hit Sal. Did you get him? I'm like, yeah, I got him. We straightened it out. But now it's all good. When we play, everybody knows, and it's a lot easier.
So it's funny. You were talking before about them seeing you in the wild.
watch as the hunter on the Serengeti. That's what I felt like.
But, well, we talked earlier about, right, us, gleaning that from mom, and our kids don't have that opportunity, right? Because we've both clearly made very conscious efforts to make sure that our kids wouldn't be a product of a single-parent household, right? But in that, there are some things that they miss, right? Like we had the opportunity with mom. So, of course, during COVID, same thing. My kids get to see dad in, full-blown work mode, which can be interesting sometimes. But just the other day, he was pushing me on interest rates and asking me about, mortgages. Like, so wait a minute, the bank gets paid back how much over a period of time? So it was interesting. Yeah, well, it's fun that, to have them see the other side of it and, be a far more intimate part of my work life than the whole family than they ever were.
It's beautiful.
During Corona. It really is. The silver linings are what we've got to pull out of this damn thing, because it's been tough. So you've built this amazing business. You did something, and again, talking about vision, where banks have, almost systematically taken any personal service out of the equation, right? You went ahead and made sure that somebody was not a number, right? People want to connect. Yes. And when you can connect with a professional in that way, and they are taking the time, that's your disruptor, right? That's what you're doing better than anyone in the business, and you are better than anyone in the business. And that's so important. People want to connect. People are tired of not getting a person on the other end of the phone anymore. They're tired of being a number. So you've got a great business. You're rocking and rolling. COVID hits. What do you see as I don't know, are we emerging this year? Is it next year? Is it 2 years away? What's your forecast for folks out there in the financing world?
Well, interest rates, I don't see interest rates rising rapidly in the near future. However, long term, I mean, I may have been saying this for the last 5 years, James. They're gonna start to creep up.
Me too, right?
Yeah.
But when?
Yeah. And if we could predict, not to change subject, but the stock market as well. I mean, I'm watching institutions pull out. I'm watching private investors, Robinhood guys. They're going in. Sal, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? I think you should know it first. Like, if it's something you use, you buy it. If it's, know what you're buying. But I won't get into the whole stock thing. As far as real estate goes, it's right now. It's a very robust market for me. I do spend a lot of time on the modification end. I don't get paid for it. It's just a service I do for my clients or my clients' family members. I have no choice. We are who we are.
No, but you do have a choice. And explain to people what that means, the loan modification, because you absolutely have a choice. Many people don't do it.
Well, if anybody calls me and says they can't pay their mortgage because they're not working or they lost all their tenants or whatever the case is, my heart starts to bleed. And it's that simple. I'm going to help them. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to give them their options. I'm going to tell them what I think is good, what is bad, what if their bank is good, if their bank is bad, what's been other people's outcomes with those banks, what a short sale is, what a foreclosure is. Should they be scared? Is the sheriff going to come and throw me out? Are they going to put my stuff on the street? It's scary, and they're scaring me. And I'm like, wait, let me call a lawyer, and I'll call one of the lawyers. I give you business. Now you give me some free advice for my friend's friend. Some people I don't even know, they're just from Facebook. Sal, can you help me? Yeah. It does hurt a little bit knowing that they could have came to me and then they went to Chase.
Sure.
And then Chase denied them and they came back to me and I got the loan done. But, but it is what it is. I'm who I am, and I'm not going to compromise that for nothing. And, if I can help, I'm going to help. If I can't help, I can't help. I mean, there's certain times I'll say, I just can't help you. But here's somebody who can, and I'll give them an attorney's number if it comes to that. But for the most part, through COVID, I've been blessed to be able to work from home. I've been blessed with a great team, as well as a team could function under these circumstances.
Sure.
And, the bank is breaking records. We're breaking records right now because people are home working. I'm getting emails 4 o'clock in the morning. We're
Yep.
going back and forth. This morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I had a client tell me today, she's like, you sent me that 4 in the morning. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, but I didn't expect you to read it 4 in the morning. I expected you to read it when you woke up. That's normal. I didn't want to wait to hit send. I'm trying to go through my business. Yep. And, from 4 to 7, I was doing emails. I took a little nap and freshened up. I knew I was coming here too, and I knew I had to go out to Jersey. I'll actually go to a closing, by the way. I don't know many mortgage guys that do that, but if somebody needs me there and they want me there and they're going to feel comfortable, you know what? I started the ride. I'll stay in the car with you till we get there.
Good man, Charlie Brown.
I don't like it, but I'll do it.
Yep.
I'll do it. Especially if it's asked politely. I don't like rude and nasty people, and if you're rude and nasty to me, I'm going to get rude and nasty back. I don't do it intentionally or consciously. It just happens. Because I'm doing a service for you. If you're going to be rude to me, like I've fired clients before, and it's so liberating. I hate this. It's so liberating. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Go somewhere else. I had a client recently, about 3 months ago. But I don't want to go somewhere else. I want to use you. I'm like, listen, the amount of time you're stealing from me, and the amount of money I'm going to make is probably 100th. I have a pipeline that I have to attend to. I can't talk to you all day, every day about the same redundancy.
Yep.
It was redundant. It was just the same thing over and over and over and over. I want 2.5. I want 2.5. I want 2.5. If there isn't, it doesn't exist, buddy. If you found a place that it exists, go there,
right.
Please, and then just pass me the name, because I may want to work there too. And that's how the conversation ends up. I don't even remember where we started.
Well, we're talking about going the extra mile, people not being a number, and that turned into all of the different things and the disruptors that make you who you are.
And COVID,
and that ties into what I wanted to touch on next. And believe it or not, it's like crazy that we're
going to midnight here,
up on an hour. But I wanted to talk about your philanthropic efforts. Something else that has just been synonymous with your name. You're out in the community everywhere. You do an amazing job giving back. One thing in particular I wanted to talk about was the American Cancer Society and the work you've done there. The marathon.
Okay. When somebody did their homework.
I've heard the story before, and we had touched on it briefly a couple of weeks ago at one of the events, and I just wanted, if you would be so, kind as to share that story and the injury and the whole thing. Well,
the first marathon I ran, my brother-in-law was he was young. He was my brother-in-law John. We played softball together when we were younger. He actually got me into softball. So I'd play hockey and softball, usually on the same days. And he was athletic. He loved his sports. He was an Islander fan. I was a Ranger fan. I think the only thing we shared, I think he was a Met fan too. But anyway, he passed away from lung cancer. There goes the mood in the room. He passed away from lung cancer, and I wanted to do something, in memory of him. It hit the family really hard. He actually lived in the same house as us. Leading up to that time, he worked for the Department of Sanitation. He was doing good. He was rocking on all cylinders. Great guy too. Great guy. Big heart. My daughter's godfather. All that stuff. So I saw the American Cancer Society on Old Town Road. I said, let me walk in there. Let me see if I can do anything. I walked in there and I met a lady, Michelle. She was at the front desk, and I said, hey, I want to get involved with the American Cancer Society. What could I do? And she said, we have a business council. You could join the business council. I think you'll fit right in. At the same time, I was doing research. I came across this thing that the American Cancer Society had. It was called Team Determination. It was raising money through athletic events. I wasn't an athlete other than hockey and softball. I was in decent shape, but not great shape. So I did what anybody would do, and I joined the marathon. I joined Team Determination, and was like, all right, I'm going to join Team Determination. I'm going to raise money. And now I got this business counsel I go talk to, and we could do it. And, man, I met this guy, Joe Cavello, Corey Shifter from Casal. I met some of the best people there. I won't mention all the names because they weren't the best people there, but I met some of the best people there at the American Cancer Society and the Business Council. And we started talking. They're like, you run a marathon? I'm like, yeah. Like, how far you ran? I said, 2 blocks yesterday. I'm on a roll. I started with 1 block. I did 2 blocks. That's actually how I really did train. I trained 1, 2, 3. I kept doubling it. Before you knew it, I was up to 18, 19. I was hitting the marks that I had to hit for the marathon. So I said, what do we do with this, team? How do we raise money? Tell me how to raise money. They're like, well, you could use Facebook, social media. You could do pie sales, this, that, the other thing. So I was like, oh, pie sales. I could get pies. I went to Perkins. They opened their doors wide open. They gave me pies. I went to all these different places. Everybody donated. My kids made cookies. I turned my mortgage office into a bakery at the time. And, and people came, and we sold cakes. I actually got business from it. I didn't want it, but it just came.
Yep.
But I wanted to get the pies. So we got the pies out. We sold them, at a low price. It was a donation. And I raised we raised $1.1 million that year for the American Cancer Society and Team Determination. They called me up one day. They said, hey, can you get to City Hall? We need you to go to we need you to go to City Hall. I'm like, what am I going to do at City Hall? Well, we know you could speak. We want you to speak. So I'm like, all right, I'll go to City Hall. I had a suit on. I picked my wife up. They want me to City Hall. I'm like, I don't know what they want for. I go there. There's a crowd of people there, and there's a podium set up with the mayor thing on it and everything. At the time, I think it was Bloomberg. It was either Bloomberg or Giuliani, whoever it was. He ended up coming there. I think it was Bloomberg. Yeah, it was Bloomberg. So they called me, and there's this Spanish congressman there, and nobody that I knew at the time. Now I know everyone. I love Nicole. I love Joe Borelli. All those guys. They're all friends of mine. They're all good people. I love my local politicians for the most part. So I stand there and I'm like, all right, I got to talk about this. Okay. So it was basically, they were lobbying to have smoking stopped in parks, public parks, and on the beaches. So I'm like, I'm training because my brother-in-law died of lung cancer, and I'm running down the beach. I'm running through Clove Lakes or whatever park I'm running through, and I have to run through plumes of smoke. I don't think that's right. And there was a child next to me, and I turned around. I said, do you think it's right for this child that could be on a beach or in a park with his mom? He's got to take that in, and who knows if that'll make him smoke one day or make him sick, third hand, all this other stuff. Now, this is coming from a guy who smoked when he was younger. I smoked when I was younger. My mom actually died because she smoked. She had, I keep bringing the room down, guys. Turn this up. So that made me stop smoking. So anyway, so I spoke, and I got great results. They invited me to, I think it was Channel 7 at the time. So I got invited to be a member of the Team Determination to go on Channel 7.
Was this all pre-sweating or post-sweating? You're no longer a sweater.
I'm no longer a sweater.
So no sweat.
No sweating anymore.
Beautiful.
No sweating anymore. I go to Channel 7, and I'm waiting online. Guy comes out and goes, you're not supposed to be waiting online. This is the line to watch the show. You're on the show. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm standing there with my blue determination shirt on. I look like Captain Idiot. Standing on line. Idiot. And so they bring me in. Rachel Ray's there cooking. I'm like, oh, wow, this is great.
Awesome.
I love your food. And I met her, and I met all the people that were there. Snuffleupagus, Stephanopoulos. I met him, and I actually called him that. He didn't find it funny. They have no sense of humor, none of them. I'll say that right here. I love Chuck Scarborough, that's it. And Greg Kelly, that's all. It's 2 people that I met that are actually on the news. So turn it up a little bit. I started doing at the same time also a radio show in New Jersey out of Rutgers. It was on AM. It was called Money Matters, I think, something like that. I did that for 6 months just to add to my portfolio, add to my resume. So the American Cancer Society, back to that. So we did our first fundraiser. We called it the Evening Under the Stars. And we did it at the South Fin. They hosted it there. And let me tell you something, ownership of that place opened their doors wide open for us. There wasn't, friends to this day, such good people, big-hearted people. We raised so much money. We had chocolate fountains. I mean, it was a great event. It was really a great event. A friend of mine who sings Frank Sinatra was there, Russ. I miss you, Russ. I know you're going to listen to this and watch this. But Russ was there singing. Everybody donated their time, their money, their efforts. It was blood, sweat, and tears, basically. 50-50 raffles. It was a great night. It was called Evening Under the Stars, and we did very well with that. We did a comedy show at Cousin Vinny's, that's where I first met Vic DiBettetto. Once again, that's another great guy. Donated his time like 3 times for the American Cancer Society and us, and he kept the crowd roaring. So I created a relationship once again with the gentlemen and the women at the American Cancer Society and the American Cancer Society Business Council. Then I could fast forward a little bit, I guess, to Sandy. Sandy hit.
Yep.
And I got a call from American Cancer Society. There was a house that was flooded, and they needed help. So I was like, all right, I'll rally the troops. So I called the same people, business council. Some of them said yes, some of them said no, or whatever. I could say Joe Cavello and Corey Shifter said yes.
As they always do.
As they always do. And my son said yes. And, I'm sorry. And Tom Pellegrino, I can't forget him. So I had a plumber, I had an electrician, I had a whole crew with me. Mm-hmm. We went to this house for these 2 old elderly people, old people. My God, I'm an old people. So we went to this home with these elderly people. The gentleman couldn't speak. He had one of the voice box things, and he had major problems. The basement was flooded. The electric was on.
Tough times.
Arcs, tough times. We went in there like gangbusters, sheetrock crew, everything. We got the water out. We got the furniture out. We got the mold out. We got everything out. We redid the property. We threw the couch out, got him a new couch. This was all one day.
Yeah.
Like we went in there like elves on Christmas Eve. And I was so proud of them. I was so proud of me. I was like, you did good. I was like, that's one notch. For anything you might have done wrong, I think we might have got back in good favor.
We all did a lot of good during Sandy, brother.
Yes. Listen.
We did.
I don't know your relationship with your brother, but I'm going to tell you a story about that. I'll jump into it real quick. So I'm out there, and I'm working hard, and some guy comes over to me. He goes, those are my shovels. I'm like, what? I'm like, those are my shovels. You stole my shovels. It was your brother. I haven't seen him since then. It wasn't his shovels. I got them from Andrew Lance's office. But he was so convinced. I was like, I had hundreds of them. I'm like, okay, take the shovels. Holy shit. I'm sorry. Your brother could be a little bit of,
I haven't seen him since then either.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Damn. Oh, my God. What was his I didn't want to fight him.
Touchy about the shovels.
I was take the shovels. You want the shovels? Take them. They were green handles. I still have some of them in my house. We had hundreds of them. I got them from Lanza. Cool. Anyway, I didn't want to fight with the guy.
Are those your green handle shovels?
I was on Highland Boulevard. I can remember them. They were wrapped in paper, brown paper. But he did have the same shovel. I'm not going to lie. He did. So I could see how he might have thought that. But he was totally wrong. I set up corners, different corners during Sandy, and we just put tables out.
Yeah. Running food down.
Running food. Paul from Nicole's office. He was the chief of staff at the time. I forgot his last name. Great guy, Paul. He would call me up and he would dispatch me and my team. We had a whole squad, and if I didn't have a squad, I put on Facebook, "We need help, food, supplies at this place," and people were coming. Man, they were coming with masks and gloves. I was like, "This is so beautiful." Yep. We were just rallying, and then tobacco was on Guy and Rescue, and like we all coordinated efforts with each other. And then I did something that was really, really huge for me. I told everyone on Team Determinate, we had so many people come in for the marathon that year. Now this is the year the marathon was canceled.
Yep.
We had all these goods and supplies. We had all these people here. I rallied everybody to meet at a certain part. I thought I'd maybe have 100 people. I'm telling you, I had 300 people if I had one. Mm-hmm. They got off the train at the same time. My son's snapping pictures. I was walking down, I'll never forget, I was walking down Highland Boulevard, and all these people were behind me, and we just grabbed supplies. We fanned out. Once again, Guy and Rescue had all the stuff out, so we were really prepared for the worst. And we canvassed the area, and we used the energy, we used the supplies for the people in the neighborhood. People Magazine, they came to my house that night. I was so tired. Listen, People Magazine comes to my house. I'm going to do an interview regardless. That night, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I told them, no, I can't. Come back tomorrow if you want to talk to me. I don't know if I think it was People Magazine. It was a long time ago. But anyway, we were rallying, and so many people saw it online that it started creating a life of its own.
Yep.
You know, and we called ourselves Determination, Team Determination. And, people were sending gift cards and supplies, and you couldn't get enough of it. You know, obviously towards the end of that, this was about 4 months. We were doing this for 4 months straight. I wasn't going to work anymore.
Say Mortgages. What you will about Staten Island.
Yeah.
We mobilize for each other when the chips are down. Man, and you got to get in a foxhole. You want to be in this one right here.
Yeah.
Because we do mobilize for each other.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
And I saw guys that I've only saw in suits, and they're coming out of holes full of mud and dirt. Corey.
Everybody was all in.
Yeah, everybody was all in. You know, I don't have to go into that. Everybody was all in. And I met these people from Texas. They came down, they had hazmat suits on, and we were in a really bad molded house. It was unsafe to live in, but the people were living there. They had nowhere to go. It was disgusting. Anyway, so we mobilized everything. And just to fast forward, when Texas got hit with the storm, I said, listen, it's time for some payback. And I was like, the only way I'm going to do it is if I say it. I put on Facebook, I said, I'm going to Texas. I'm bringing them goods, supplies, and money. Who wants in? The next day, New York One's there, the Advance is there, supplies are filling up in the parking lot of my office. And Harrison Schwartz, I'll mention your name, Harrison, even though you left me and went to Arizona. He's in Witsec. Okay. He has family out in Arizona, so he's out there doing mortgage lending now. We drove 34 straight hours to Texas. Or I'll say he drove 34 straight hours to Texas. He was down in 5-hour energy drinks like they were shots of tequila. And we got there. We set up in a women's prison, and we gave out this big trailer of goods, fresh water, supplies. We were only giving it to places like Beaumont and little areas that weren't receiving supplies. We actually snuck past a few checkpoints because they were stopping people from going there. But we knew that we knew people there, so we knew that they weren't getting the supplies that they needed. So, long story short, we paid back Texas. So we're even right now.
Look, there's a common theme here, right? Your passion bleeds through in everything you do. You don't do anything halfway. You do everything 150%. And that rings through in your philanthropic efforts, which, again, they're synonymous with your name. And in the beginning of the show, I talked about, and Staten Island is thankful for it, believe me when I tell you, how of all things I'm most proud to call you a friend now, because you're just a different guy, man. You are a wonderful person, and you bring that tremendous energy into absolutely everything that you touch. So for me, it's been a blessing to get to know you.
And just so you know, I not to cut you off, but that does mean a lot coming from you, to be honest with you.
Well, it's the truth. You've moved me in many different ways, so good stuff, man. Look, we're already running over an hour. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? If folks want to, and people, if you need a mortgage, there is nobody better. And I've dealt with all of them in my I don't know how many years I'm doing this now, 25 years. You will not get anyone who cares more than Sal and his team, and that's just where it starts and it stops. So how do we get in touch with you?
James. Well, on Instagram, Salvatore John Criscuolo. I'm on Facebook, obviously. Very all over Facebook. And now I check out my reels. No, I'm kidding around now. Don't check out my reels. I tried to hide that. People love that more than anything else. That's just me taking my hat off. They could just go to getapprovedbysal.com. That's my website, getapprovedbysal.com. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just straight to me so I can get to know the person. It's getapprovedbysal.com. And, I do have a lot of YouTube videos. One of them has, I think, as much as 8 views. Well, so I'm really rocking them that 20 years that I've been doing it on YouTube on my green screen. My green screen's the worst, James. You got to see it. You got to watch some of my old videos. You will not stop laughing. I was like this. I was like Ralph Cramden. Humming. It was terrible. It was really tough. But I tried, and the information still is good on there. But yeah, I mean, I put my number all over the place because you know, if you want to crank call me, go right ahead. I'll just block the number in the future. That's my feel. I've had the same phone number for 25 years. I'll never get rid of it. I tell my son, if I ever die, just take this phone and go to work.
Same thing.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Don't lose this number. Because generational, it's for me, you know, and my son is a loan officer as well as a streamer. He's a licensed loan officer, and you know, he's actually pretty good at it.
So get approved by Sal. That's the best way.
Yep.
All right. Look, we can go on for hours, and I'd love to pick this back up again. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for who you are. You again, if you don't know Sal, hopefully you'll have the opportunity to get to know Sal. He's just one of those guys. It's been an absolute blessing for me, and I look forward to continued collaboration.
Same here. And honestly, for some of my followers, I want them to please know that this is not just the Mutual Admiration Society. This is actually real talk. There's a real man, comes from a real family, and they do really good things for not only the community, but for philanthropic efforts as well. And it's really been my pleasure to be here, and just glad to be out of the house too as well. And if you ever want to do part 2, I'm in 100%. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that Casandra Property stands for.
Thank you, sir. Love you. And everyone out there, holidays are coming. Let's be smart and make sure we all stay safe, okay? Catch you on the next one.